American ownership of Europe's top football clubs hasn't exactly benefited the sport. Think about the old school Rossoneri culture and their vast club identity in the 80s and 90s. AC Milan from 20 years ago was a powerhouse built on a tightly bonded squad that played with heart and fought for each other every step of the way. There was a relentless passion and fire inside everyone associated with the club back in those days. But the Milan of today isn't even worth comparing to that legendary side. The club recently turned 125 years old and held a party that was attended by players, management, and club executives, among others. But there was an uninvited entity as well. The Ultras of AC Milan, called the Curva Sud, made their appearance just outside the entrance of the venue to make their feelings known. They've been quite vocal about how the new ownership is the wrong fit for the club and the way they've gone about handling the operation since taking over. The first and biggest mistake was letting go of Paolo Maldini as technical director. A club legend, Maldini played a crucial role in bringing in talents like Leao, Hernandez, and Tomori. His influence was seen as vital to AC Milan's Serie A triumph in 2021-22. He helped them win the league title after 11 long years and told the new board that they needed to show ambition then if they wanted to maintain their place at the top. However, RedBird Capital, which took over the club in 2022, clashed with Maldini over key decisions. This led to his departure, leaving many supporters frustrated and disappointed. Since then, RedBird Capital's founder, Gerry Cardinale, has made a few remarks about the club which haven't gone down well with the fans. As the protests continued outside Milan's 125th party venue, chants were heard loud and clear, wanting Cardinale to sell the club and leave. It was later revealed that the owner of the club hadn't even bothered to attend such an important occasion, which fueled the fan frustration even more. So what has gone wrong at AC Milan? Why is the new ownership under fire within just 2 years of being in charge? We're going to answer these questions and give you insights into some of the lesser known happenings at the club this season. In August 2022, RedBird Capital took over the club from Elliott Management at a €1.2 billion valuation. Their initial pitch for the club's vision was to focus on sustainable success over just winning an odd trophy once in a while. They wanted to build a new stadium and increase their commercial reach. But building a brand new stadium in Italy, let alone Milan, is easier said than done. There were speculations that the private equity firm simply wanted to add value to the club before flipping it for a profit in some years' time. But ever since taking over, they haven't had the best of first impressions with the Milan faithful. Getting rid of Maldini wasn't just a terrible business decision, it alienated a big chunk of supporters from the cold American owners. The 2023-24 transfer windows for Milan had a clear policy of buying young and relatively cheaper talent into the squad. Musa, Chukwueze, Reinders, Pulisic were brought in. But the biggest shock to the supporters was the unexpected departure of their boyhood Milan talent, Sandro Tonali. The transfer to Newcastle seemed to happen overnight and didn't sit well with the fans. The club finished in second place that season, but it was a hefty 19 points behind league winners Inter. Before this, in 2022-23, they finished fourth, 20 points behind winners Napoli, which was technically the worst title defense in the Serie A with respect to the points difference between the winner and defender. Getting rid of Ibrahimovic, Tonali, and Maldini in such a short span removed a core chunk of Milanistas from the club. Then, bringing Ibra back in an advisory capacity and calling him the biggest legend of the club after the owners just got rid of the actual biggest legend of the club didn't leave the fans too happy. All in all, the new owners devised a high-risk strategy right after taking over. Had it worked out, the ownership might have received a warmer welcome, but the decline has been very clear to track, and the lack of efforts from Cardinale to establish a personal connection with the fans has done him no favours. The initial promise of building a sustainable model of success made the fans expect some smart transfers in the market. but their hopes had been far from satisfied in the previous windows. The summer acquisition of Paulo Fonseca as the manager got some mixed reviews, especially after Thiago Motta was first linked with the job. But the latter decided to go with Juventus, and the fans were left feeling bittersweet and unsure of what to expect from the Portuguese manager. In the summer, the Milanistas were significantly vocal about not wanting Emerson Royal to join, as they had seen him play for Tottenham. But the voices of fans were ignored, and Royal was signed in the summer of 2024. Due to the Euros in the summer, there were quite a few late joiners to the pre-season squad. Most notably, Theo Hernandez, whose contract expires in less than 2 years, was forced to join at a later date. The season started with 2 draws and a loss. The 2-1 defeat against Parma led the manager to drop Hernandez and Leao from the starting 11 in their next match against Lazio. Both players came on in the 70th minute, and Leao even managed to score an equaliser. A cooling break in the 80th minute saw both teams huddle around their managers, except for 2 Milan players. Hernandez and Leao chose to defiantly stand up at the far end of the pitch, which brought up a lot of media attention. Fonseca played it down in the press conference, but unrest within the squad was clear to see. In October, a 2-1 loss against Fiorentina saw Hernandez miss a penalty and concede another before getting sent off. Leao was benched by the manager for the next 3 league matches. While the Milan fans didn't particularly mind the manager keeping egos in check, the inconsistent results in the league just fueled the frustration of everyone involved. The most talented player wasn't getting game time. The manager couldn't put out his best starting 11. The fans were growing more frustrated with unexpected draws and losses, and the club suffered in the league table. The goalless draw against Genoa at home dampened the mood for the club's 125th anniversary. The fans in the stadium let their feelings known, with chants directed at the seemingly uninvolved owners. The Ultras gathered outside after the game and displayed banners directed at Cardinale and RedBird Capitals. But the very next day, a much more effective protest was led by the Ultras right outside the 125th anniversary celebration venue. As the players arrived, a few were cheered on while others were whistled at. It's not the manager or his ways, but the people at the very top. Even though he hasn't impressed the Milanistas yet, Fonseca joined this summer, and managers ultimately need time. On a positive note, 16-year-old Francesco Camarda was cheered by the Ultras on his arrival. Pulisic was another player who was received very well by the Curva. The few others who got a warm welcome included Maignan, Fofana and Reinders. The cheers were not just for their recent performances or contributions to goals, but more so because these players play with their hearts out. Milanistas can clearly see who plays for the badge and who isn't doing enough. Tomori, Abraham, Calabria, Sportiello and Morata were booed by the protesters. The management executives, including Ibrahimovic, chose to go in from the back door to avoid confronting the Ultras. But the Curva are not so easy to get away from. They stated afterwards that the management that chose to not show up in front of them must go. This sentiment isn't just shared by the Curva Sud, but by most Milanistas across the world. The new ownership chose a high-risk strategy the moment they let Maldini go and didn't invest in the market too much. They're mid-table in the Serie A, and the fans are on their wits' end with the current state of the club. Milan fans have always been passionate and vocal about their feelings, and it's now clear what they want to see. Either Cardinale pulls up his socks and starts mending a relationship that is barely hanging on by a thread, or the fans won't stop until they get rid of the unambitious owners. But I bring it back to you Milan fans. Can the owners fix this, or is there only one option left? Let us know also below what you think of Fonseca as manager.